What's up, it's Timus here. Since I'm doing my list of my favorite musical movies of each decade, it is the 90s turn. And not as much musical movies in the 90s as you expect, but there was some good chunk of ones, whether they were live action, animation, and stuff. So here is my list. Number 10, I'm actually going to go with The Land Before Time 3, The Time of the Great Valley. Now, obviously, the sequels to the Land Before Time movies mostly ended up being more musical centric. Like they ended up having some interesting songs throughout. I decided to go with Land Before Time 3 because Land Before Time 3 is probably my favorite out of the bunch. You know, if you guys don't know much about the story for Land Before Time 3, it's where like a drought hits the Great Valley and Littlefoot and his friends must work together with new dinosaurs. One of which is the character named Hip. Uh, and of course find their way to restore the water supply. This has so many songs um I always love listening. Like the song When You're Big, The Best of Friends, Big Big Water. I mean, I always get a kick out of loads of these songs. I will play them every time I get a chance to. I and the Land Before Time sequels aren't great movies or anything, but they are like I used to always get a kick out of a couple of the sequels here, and Part 3 is always a fan favorite of mine. Alright, coming in at number 9 is Crybaby. Of course, directed by John Waters. And of course, it is a musical about rebellious teen greaser, Crybaby Walker, who shakes up 1950s Baltimore when he falls for like the square uptight girl here. And obviously, John Waters has directed stuff like the original Hairspray. He also directed Pink Flamingos, many others. And Crybaby is a really decent musical starring Johnny Depp. Tracy Lords was in this one. Ricky Lake. Great music. Like the song Crybaby. Teardrops Are Falling. I think they actually adapted this on Broadway, if I'm not mistaken. And Johnny Depp, he could bust out a tune perfectly. Obviously, he did do a musical, which was obviously, Sweeney Todd as well. So he's definitely no stranger to the musical genre. And Crybaby is a really good one. If you guys never seen it, highly recommend it. Alright, coming in at number 8 is Newsies. Now, of course, it stars a very young Christian Bale, inspired by the 1899 Newsy boy strikes in New York, where young Jack Kelly, played by Christian Bale, leads a band of newsboys to fight on unfair labor practices here. You do got the likes of, Christian Bale, Robert Duvall, Bill Pullman. It is a terrific musical, great performances here, great songs like Santa Fe, Seize the Day. I mean, it's a really decent musical that's well worth watching there. All right, coming in at number 7 is Evita. Evita, of course, stars Madonna as well as Antonio Banderas. And it's a retelling of Eva Peron's rise from poverty to becoming Argentina's beloved controversial first lady here. And obviously, you've got Madonna, who is mostly the queen of pop, really. One of the most iconic music vocals of all time. I thought she did a great job here. Her chemistry, like her music chemistry with Antonio Banderas, is really decent. Great songs from like High Flying and Android to You Must Love Me and many others. It is a really decent musical that as well worth watch there. All right, coming in at number 6 is The Five Heartbeats. Of course, starring and directed by Robert Townsend, starring Leon, Harry J. Lennox, and it follows the rise and struggles of the Five Heartbeats, a fictional R&B group in the 1960s as they navigate fame, personal demons, and and of course the music. Like you got the likes of Nights Like This, I Feel Like Going. It is a really decent musical. Great performances by Robert Townsend, who of course, like I said, also directed this as well. I mean, he did a good job with this one. He also directed The Meter Man. Who remembers The Meter Man? The superhero movie from the 90s. I would love to see him make a directing comeback. But The Five Heartbeats is a really decent one. Obviously, they were trying to pretty much parody the likes of the Jackson 5 and many other like R&B groups of that era of like the 50s, 60s eras and stuff. And I know a lot of them had good chemistry with one another, and it's a really decent one. All right. Coming in at number 5 is a Goofy movie. The rest are actually animation here. But number five is a Goofy movie. Of course, where Goofy takes his teenage son Max, on a cross-country fishing trip, while Max is secretly trying to impress his crush Roxanne here, and the music is awesome. I always love jamming out to the music, whether it's After Today, Stand Out, On the Open Road. It's just really awesome, and obviously a music artist in this actually really wish was a real life artist and on. The concert scene always is a fan favorite. I just adore a Goofy movie, and if you guys haven't seen it, highly recommend it. All right, coming in at number four is Aladdin. Now, of course, Aladdin, has loads of iconic music from the likes of "Friend Like Me," uh, to "Arabian Night," to Prince Ali, "A Whole New World." Like obviously, Robin Williams, "A Friend Like Me" song is so iconic. It's just one of the greatest animated movies there is. It's terrific. Robin Williams does such a good job as the genie here. It's just such a really remarkable film. I mean, the Disney Renaissance in the '90s, Disney musical films of the '90s were just the best, and Aladdin is definitely one of them. All right, coming in at number three is South Park Bigger, Longer, Uncut. Yes, I'm always considering South Park Bigger, Longer, Uncut as a musical, and this has some of the best musics in this. Of course, they got the Blaine Canada song, which actually scored a Oscar nomination. And speaking of Robert Williams, by the way, if you never listened to Robert Williams perform the Blaine Canada song at the Oscars, do yourself a favor, just YouTube Robert Williams Blaine Canada. You'll be able to find it. It's really hilarious, to say the least. And obviously, Blaine Canada did not win the Oscar that year. Instead, it won out. It lost out to Phil Collins' song from Tarzan, which even South Park poked fun at that one time. But yeah, South Park Big Long Cut is just one of my favorites. Seeing the a movie version with the with the South Park gang was all really cool. I mean, who just doesn't love the South Park movie, right? All right. Number two is Beauty and the Beast. Obviously, the animated tale, Tales of Over Time and all. Uh, come on, one of the most iconic songs that Angela Lansbury sings in this, Beauty and the Beast. Obviously, you got songs like Gaston, Be Our Guest. Some really iconic music in this. The first anime movie to get a nomination for Best Picture, by the way. It only happened a few times. Beauty and the Beast. Uh, I think Wall-E as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think also Toy Story 3 also got that. So yeah, but Beauty and the Beast is just so iconic. The live action is great too with Emma Watson, but nothing beats the animated version, and it's just a really remarkable one. And my number one favorite music movie of the '90s is obviously I already talked about the live action version, or not really live action, but still. So my number one is the original, and that is The Lion King. One of the greatest anime movies of all time, in my opinion. Some of my iconic songs. Like every time I just rewatch this, just hearing the Circle of Life song always gives me chills every time I rewatch it. Of course, I just can't wait to be king, which is actually my favorite song of The Lion King. Really, I don't know why. Like everyone will always say, "Circle of Life" is their favorite. Be prepared, Hakuna Matata, and all. My favorite has always been "I Just Can't Wait to Be King." I don't know. That song's more catchy in my opinion. Uh, but yeah, The Lion King is just so iconic. Great voice talents from James Earl Jones to Matthew Broderick, Nathan Lane, Whoopi Goldberg. Who doesn't love The Lion King? It's just one of the greatest anime movies there is. It's literally my favorite anime movie of all time, in my opinion, and it's just one of the best. But that's pretty much it there. Here is, of course, my quick rundown. Number 10, The Land Before Time 3, The Time of the Great Giving. 9, Crybaby. 8, Newsies. 7, Evita. 6, The Five Heartbeats. 5, A Goofy Movie. 4, Aladdin. 3, South Park Big and Long Uncut. 2, Beauty and the Beast. And number 1 is The Lion King. Now, a couple of others I probably could have included. The Woody Allen film called Everyone Says I Love You. That's actually pretty decent. Also, The Nightmare Before Christmas is another good one. Obviously, Tarzan, which actually doesn't have not have much music as you expect, which is why I never really. I mean, Lion King is more of a musical than Tarzan, in my opinion. Hercules, I like Hercules, but I never really was like the hugest Hercules guy. I was always more like a Lion King person. But anyway, I'll let me let you guys. What are some of your favorite musical movies of the '90s? Draw comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is Simon signing.